Morning. Huh. Fascinating. Hello Electroheads, welcome to another car review video, and ooh, it's a big one. This is the ID.3, the VW ID.3, and if you've been subscribed to us for a while, you may remember that about 5 months ago, I made a video about this car. And in that video, which is by far the most viewed piece of content we've ever made on this channel, I may have stated quite emphatically that this could well be the most important car of the year, possibly the decade. 5 months later, the ID.3 is here. So I guess it's time to find out if I was full of shit. Now, the thing we have to always keep in mind when judging this car is that VW plans on selling it in huge quantities. It's called the ID.3 because it signals the third generation at VW. The last two generations were led by the Beetle and Golf, which combined have sold some 58 million cars. No pressure, little buddy. VW knows better than anyone in the world that in order to hit those astronomical sales figures, in order to make a car that many people want to buy, it has to be, first and foremost, totally inoffensive. It mustn't be controversial or polarizing. It must simply be very good at being a car. But is it? Right, let's begin by talking about the way the ID.3 looks, and if I were to sum up the styling of this car in one word, I think that word would be stumpy. I think it's quite a cute looking thing, but it is quite spec dependent, I find. This one in white looks a little bit like a fridge, but if you put it in the lovely turquoise blue with those black aero wheels, it looks amazing. But don't get me wrong, it's not all sensible out here. There are a few fun little touches on this car. For example, look at this funky little decal here. Don't worry, it's optional in case that's too crazy for you. This is fun, I like this. The flap for the charge port, it opens like a Lambo door. Look at that, wild. Around the back, well, nothing in particular. I just really like the way this car looks from the back. It's so smart. I love these taillights. I really like the black on white VW badge as well. Around the front, this is my favorite one. Get a load of these LED headlights. They're actually like little eyeballs, and they rotate to greet you when you unlock the car, and they're connected by a light bar. Funky. But actually, one of the most exciting things about this car is something you can't even see, and that is the platform that it's built on. Because as you're probably aware by now, VW has made its own dedicated electric vehicle platform called the MEB, and the ID.3 is the very first car to use it. Now, what does that actually mean for you if you buy one? Well, for one, it means the car can be nice and stubby. It can have short overhangs. There's no need to leave room for an engine in the front. That in turn means you get an amazing view out as the driver. The visibility in this car is spectacular. It also means VW can push the wheels out further towards the edges, giving a longer wheelbase without making the car any bigger. And that means you get way more cabin space than you ever would in an equivalent sized petrol car.
The MEB platform also makes it easy for VW to offer the ID.3 with a selection of motor and battery sizes. The top end model will have 201 brake horsepower and 336 miles of range, and will start at just under 40 grand after the government EV grant, aka Tesla Model 3 money. The entry level model will have 148 brake horsepower and a very respectable 263 miles of range, and that can be yours for less than 30 grand. The one I have here is a first edition model, which is somewhere in the middle and doesn't really matter because it's already sold out. Anyway, let's have a look inside.
Right, welcome to the inside of the VW ID.3, where actually things are not what you might expect. Now, the first thing you notice when you get in is the space. There is a ton of it in here, and that is again thanks to that MEB platform. There is so much headroom, so much legroom, and even in my weird tall person driving position, there's plenty of room in the back and a big boot. It's just nice and airy in here. It's a bit Honda-esque. No transmission tunnel, obviously, and that really adds to the sense of space. The second thing you notice is that there are almost no physical buttons in here whatsoever. Almost everything in this car is controlled by either a touchscreen or voice control. And when I say touchscreen and voice control, I do obviously just mean touchscreen, because the voice control system is, well, I'll show you. Take me to the nearest charge point.
Search for charging station nearby.
My God, it worked! That's the first time! I take it back, the system works just excellent. It is crazy just how few buttons there are in this car. Everything from driving modes to climate control to audio volume. None of those things get their own physical buttons, and that'd be fine if the touch slidey things that replaced them were intuitive and effective, but they're sort of not. I'll give you a few examples. To turn the volume up in the car, I have to slide my finger along this thing here, or I can just tap this side of it. Same for climate control temperature. Headlights, they're operated using this weird little random panel back here. This might be the weirdest one of all. Let's say I want to wind down the rear windows. I've only got 2 switches on the side here. So what I have to do is press rear and then use this one. I guess I should be grateful I don't have to stroke the window to lower it. And the infotainment system isn't especially friendly either. Now that I've spent some time with the car, I am quite used to it, but it took me quite a while, and I'm usually quite good with this stuff. I'll give you a few examples. Let's say you want to change your car from comfort mode to sport mode. Presumably you press this button here that says vehicle. And then vehicle, there we go, exterior, no, not there, interior, no. Psych, it was all a decoy. You press this button down here that says mode. How about this one, the climate control setting? Here's how it works. We've got classic climate, and that's just operating the controls. Smart climate, where it breaks things down into simple instructions like warm my feet or warm my hands, and air care, which purifies your air, very fancy. But when I looked at this for the first time, I had no idea what I was looking at. Now that I'm used to it, I like it, but it's not especially friendly to beginners. When you get in an old Golf cabin, within 5 minutes, you feel like you know where everything is because it's all so intuitive. And that's one of the things that led to the Golf's huge success. This is not that.
Okay, nerdy rant over, but don't worry, it's not all doom and gloom in here. So let's talk about some of the good stuff in this cabin.
I like the amount of storage in here. Look at this bin, my God. It is huge. Oh, almonds. It's so big I forgot my almonds. There's a couple of USB-C charge ports in here. There's a couple more in the back. This, I love this. This is the best phone storage pocket of any car ever, and it's got wireless charging. This is what I expect from VW. Also, while these controls in the middle are quite annoying, the ones on the wheel are really quite good. It looks a bit untidy and confusing, but it's actually pretty simple. This is climate control, this is media, this one controls the screen in front of you, and it's got haptic feedback as well, so you can feel when you press something. Really nice. Best of all, when you move the wheel, the screen comes too, look. So wherever you move it to, you can always see everything clearly. Nice. Right then, let's have a word about what the ID.3 is like on the road. Actually, before we do that, we've got to talk about the ID light, because I forgot to earlier. So the ID light is this LED bar that runs the strip of the cabin, and it gives you certain information. It pulses to the left or right when your turning is coming up. It glows red when you're about to drive into the back of someone, and it pulses white gently when you hit the voice command button so that you know the car is listening to you. Or not listening to you, as the case may be. Show me nearby charging points.
Search for charging.
It worked again! Another feature I was really looking forward to that sadly hasn't made it onto these first edition cars is the augmented reality windscreen. Oh yeah, so when your turning's coming up, a big arrow will appear where your turning actually is on the road, and it's being projected onto the windscreen. Unbelievable. Sadly, that feature wasn't ready for these first edition cars. It will be available on later models, allegedly. Anyway, moving on from features that don't actually exist, this car, really nice, easy, relaxing car to drive. Tons of cabin space in here, like I mentioned, because of the MEB platform. Amazing visibility. Another benefit of that MEB platform, tons of steering lock, like almost Honda E levels of steering lock. 3-point turns, not in this thing. Now VW have tried to keep things really simple in here, and for that reason there's no different regen strength settings to cycle through. You either have regen on or regen off. Don't you mug me off again.
Pardon?
It's a shame that there aren't settings for the regen strength, because I would have preferred to have it a bit stronger than the only available setting so that I could do proper one-pedal driving. You can't really in this. Bit of a shame, not the end of the world. And I'll tell you what, this thing is actually quite a lot of fun to drive. It's rear-wheel drive, which is obviously unusual for a small family car like this, and it's just better. I like front-wheel drive cars, but there is no denying that rear-wheel drive cars are just more rewarding to drive. When the rear wheels are doing the driving, the front wheels can focus on doing the steering uninterrupted, and it just feels right. It's also pretty quick, not Tesla quick, but 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds, 200 brake horsepower. That's like warm, hot hatch performance. Plus the weight is nice and low in this car, and the suspension is firm, but not too firm. It's comfortable, but the car doesn't roll much through corners, so you can throw it around a little bit. The Mini Electric is a lot more chuckable and sporty in the way that it drives, but this is a fun car. Overall thoughts on this car? God, it's a bit of a funny one. I wasn't sure about this thing when I picked it up 2 days ago, but it's grown on me very quickly. What's really strange about the ID.3 is it kind of feels like VW have slightly dropped the ball with the things that they're classically good at, like simple cabins, and absolutely nailed the really difficult parts of making an electric car. Because once you get over the little annoying things about this car, like the rubby buttons, you realise that what it actually is a really well-rounded electric car. It's competitively priced, it's got tons of space, it's easy to drive, it's got a big boot, it's got tons of range, it's well built. It's got all of the things that actually matter most, and how many other EVs on the road can you think of that offer all of those? Best of all of those things are thanks to this new MEB platform, which will soon be underpinning 25 more all-electric VW Group cars in the next few years. This car is the start of something big. The things I'm not so keen on about this car, they're kind of easy fixes. The infotainment system will get better over time through updates, I'm certain of that. And actually, I have a suspicion that when it comes to a model refresh, they're probably going to add a few more buttons into this cabin because it has been unanimously whinged about by every journo who's tried it. Maybe the best thing to do if you're thinking about getting an ID.3 is just wait a little bit, let them iron out the wrinkles, and then see about getting one. You know what they say, if you buy the first generation of a new piece of technology, you are basically paying to be the guinea pig. I'm not sure if that's an actual expression or if I just made it up, but it's true. Did I get way too carried away when I suggested that this car might be the most important car of the decade 5 months ago? Well, I'm sure you'll form your own opinion about that, and feel free to let me know what it is in the comments below. In fact, leave a comment that either says Jack was right or Jack's an idiot. We'll see who wins. Me personally, I stand by what I said. I think this car has all the ingredients to sell in huge, huge numbers. In fact, in Norway and the Netherlands, which are two of the world's most EV-friendly countries, this is already outselling the Tesla Model 3. When you consider that alongside what VW has planned for this new MEB platform, I don't think it's overly dramatic to suggest that this could well be the defining electric car of this decade. There, I said it again. So there we have it, the VW ID.3, a very, very impressive car, even though you have to stroke it to make it warm. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you soon.